lot of the time with the wrist injuries and with the boxer's fractures in the fingers and um, aches and pains that happen down the back and even in your butt area and going down your leg just from.
We are live.
Oh, this is.
Yeah, man. I got
That's cool. I like that.
got it all set up. I got like 5 T-shirts as of now.
All right.
So that's I have a whole brand of T-shirts. Hello, anyone who tunes in. I am Joshua Royland, a strength and conditioning specialist and owner of Sweatshirt Fitness. Our guest today is Brandon Rivera, a medical student from the prestigious Farmingdale University. He is also my longtime friend. Today we will be discussing your journey into physical culture and exercise, your educational experience, and your recommendations for young boxers and weekend warriors alike.
Oh, yeah.
In relation to injury prevention and performance, how are you doing today, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm great, man. I can't complain. I've been working on myself and using all the knowledge that I have so far. Like you said, I'm a nursing student, so I have a strong medical background and physical background as well. When it comes to physical fitness, I'm ACE certified, I'm USA boxing certified, so I definitely know how to train for dynamics and how to make you a better fighter, how to make you a weekend warrior, like you said. I like that term. That's cool. I'm pretty well-rounded dude. I can destroy you and then heal you at the same time. It's
That's what
kind of
it's
my
about.
MO.
And that's what it's all about, is being able to break down someone's physical body during a workout and teach them how to properly recover afterwards. And
Yeah.
that's super important. So what was your journey into physical culture and exercise? I know that your father, owns the boxing gym and
Yeah.
has done a lot for a very long time on that. What was your journey into this field like?
Yeah, so he actually introduced me to the whole thing. He had a dream of owning a gym, specifically a boxing gym, and that kind of came off of his father's idea. So he took that on. He kind of introduced me to boxing at a very young age, and he kind of made me passionate, all built off of his passion. So it was more of like, I don't know, an illness, I guess. It was very contagious, and I just kind of caught it. So I'm also into boxing. So yeah, so that was that. But from there, he met Bill Ryder. He's the head coach at our gym, Near Fitness and Boxing, and that was at our other gym. And they kind of collaborate. They collaborated, and they asked for a trainer to work with the special needs kids and the regular kids alike. And as someone who was going into high school, I was kind of like the best option. I had the free time. I was able to relate. Yeah, so that's where I started. That was my first gig as a physical fitness guy.
Speaking about relating, are you comfortable discussing how you relate to special needs and training special needs clients, or is
Oh
that
yeah,
something you'd
yeah,
want to?
no, yeah, that's fine. My sister has Down syndrome, so I've been immersed in this world my whole life. Especially now, Alexia has been gaining like a bigger friend group, so we've been kind of they've been looking to me to drive her around and kind of interact with them as well. So I've been teaching them. I've been kind of not really mentoring, but kind of like helping them helping them out in terms of like finding their way of life and how to do regular things like cook or like clean or even just go to a cash register and just buy something. Like that's been my role in their life.
That's so important, and I think that it's not just awareness, but ability to create comfort within the, let's say, neurotypical
Yeah.
population would be something that we need to do as a society. And I know my parents were quite good at helping us understand that there are different types of people and that we need to take care of people. But I think there's a lot of people out there who don't understand, whether they weren't raised that way or that's something they don't think about. But it's really nice that you were able to share this and that you're able to make an impact in so many people's lives. My first real, I'm going to say, close experience with helping someone is my recent client Brandon. So I very much can empathize with his struggles. And as I've gotten to know him, he's opened up a little more to me, and that's been really really nice to see.
Yeah,
As
definitely. It was so rewarding when they kind of grab onto that. I'm friendly, you're friendly. Let's be best friends. Like that is special just right there. Yeah,
I
big
remember the
time.
first time he said hi, Josh. I was like, oh, this is big. This
Yeah,
is real
especially as
big.
someone who's almost nonverbal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
With your fitness specifically, we talked about now being a little bit busy,
Mhm.
but there are things that you've done in the past training, and there's things that you will want to do in the future.
Mm.
What has your journey looked like in fitness, and what does the future hold for your personal fitness?
Well, I mean, I fitness kind of started with just me finding a job. It's like that was basically where it started, and then from there, I kind of focused on studies. So that was my primary focus then. At some point, I kind of looked in the mirror and I was like, I something I need to change the way I look. Like I'm not. This isn't the image I want to look at every day. So I started going to the gym. I started just doing extra push-ups every day, stuff like that. Exercising more, being a little more involved with the gym and the physical fitness side of things. And then around college, that's where everything kind of halted. And I kind of just stopped everything and was really kind of focusing on my studies and just being able to make that GPA and being the average student that I was, just making sure that I hit that 3.0, which was very difficult for some reason those first 2 years, which also didn't help with my mental state at the time, which, of course, I didn't want to go to the gym at all at that point or do anything. But then I joined crew, actually. So crew was my way back in. And
Wow.
so rowing was like my kind of almost like my savior in terms of mental focus. Like there's a wild connection between just working out and mental focus. Like every now knowing that I can make a change in my mental ability, in terms of focus and memory and skills like that, I go to the gym, and I don't know what it is, the adrenaline, just maybe just having a routine. Um, it it brings me clarity, and like that's I've been running with that.
There's a ton of hormones that are associated with exercise, and that sort of advantage you can take of such a natural release of these hormones really is able to create a healthy, I don't want to call it an addiction,
Hmm.
but a healthy habit, you know, for rather than getting feel good hormones based off of something that's not doing anything for you or maybe negative. Coming into the boxing gym, getting a solid usage out of all of the wonderful equipment you have here at any gym is the best way to do it. And that sort of physical culture is something we need to develop, especially in America with the obesity rates going where they are, and
Yeah,
raising consistently year over year, and children needing this sort of impact. I know you work with children. I'm going to ask, there's, before we get into boxers looking for injury prevention, let's give a little bit of a teaser into that. One thing that's automatic when you go into injury prevention, if you're talking to a boxer, someone interested in getting fit, being able to punch, and not like being cut out like
yeah.
because you're injured.
I mean, just move. Just find a reason to move. Like if you need a trainer to do that, get that trainer. Just gotta move. Do something. Like I gotta. I have a train. I have a client. His name is Dave. He comes in and he always talks about how he has aches and pains. He sits at a desk all day, and every so often he'll find a yoga ball and he'll just stretch out on that thing. But that can only get you so far sometimes. Like if you want to stretch out, that's cool, but if you don't use those muscles, they're going to keep on aching. And anytime you don't stretch out and you're sitting there, especially in front of a computer at a desk or on a phone or whatever, even if you're just driving a car for how many miles, like that time adds up. And especially when you're stationary in that state, stretching out, you need a strong foundation to make sure that even after you do stretch out, those muscles are loosened or supported by something else.
Well, and one of the things that people don't realize is sometimes it's not inflexibility they're dealing with, it's actually a lack of strength at the end range of their motion.
Yeah,
So, like, you get your rotator cuff, and it's not actually a flexibility, I have to stretch into it. You're actually so weak that you can't pull yourself into the right position.
yeah.
And there's a lot more we could go into that. I think I'm going to save more of the specifics
Oh, for
for
sure. Yeah.
when I go into talking with my guest next podcast. But let's focus a little bit more into boxing, because I would like to dive a little deep in your specialty.
Yeah.
And being a medical student, you could go into the anatomy, you could go into all of that. but ultimately you're really specialized in boxing, and this is something that I've held bags for people before. I've held the pads. I've done some mitt work,
Yeah,
but I
totally.
haven't run a boxing class. I haven't done the cross training that I would do for a boxing class.
Yeah.
So, what would you recommend to a beginner who is worried about breaking their hand punching a bag?
Yeah, well, I mean, everything comes down to how you throw that punch. So when you get that technique down, then you can start adding power. I always teach my new fighters that when they come in, I have them on the mitts. I have them on the mitts for a reason, so that I can give and take that power as they throw it. So they can first control the speed, control the speed with power or without, all the while making sure that they make the technique solid before they actually hit a bag. A lot of the time with the wrist injuries and with the boxer's fractures and the fingers and aches and pains that happen down the back and even in your butt area and going down your leg just from having the wrong stance. Like without that proper technique, everything can go bad, especially when you're lifting heavy weights in terms of force of power on that bag. People don't realize when you're hitting a bag and you're hitting it hard, the bag is hitting your just as hard back at you. So like
It's
if
like weightlifting in an instant.
dude, that's
You go
exactly
from
what it is.
0 to like 50 to 70 pounds, depending upon the person,
That's exactly what it is,
immediately.
especially on a sandbag. Like there's pockets in there that just harden over time, and you keep on banging it, banging it, banging it, making it harder and harder and harder. You don't realize until, oh man, my shoulder doesn't feel good today. That wasn't your fault. You just probably didn't have the right technique.
Or it's some sort of tendonitis that they develop
Yeah,
because it's overwork.
yeah.
And that's why a coach is a very good thing to have as a resource, where you can see not just the technique, let's say flaws, but also the overwork going into it. If you're coming in and your idea is to box, and your idea is you've watched Rocky a couple of times,
Mm-hmm.
and now you want to just hit the heavy bag,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all you're going to do, and
Yeah.
you're going to throw, let's say, 300 punches a day or whatever is over volume.
Yeah.
Again, I can't pretend to know because I won't go outside of my area of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever is too high of a volume of punches, you go in and you're looking to do that every day,
Yeah.
you will get injured. Just the tissues can't handle it.
Yeah.
So I think that it becomes a volume thing from what I would understand about
Yeah,
boxing.
for sure. I mean, a lot of it is also just kind of like having your own, like, are you ready for that? So going into a gym and saying, I want to work out today. I want to hit that bag today. Let's say they did say, I want to do 300 punches a day. After that first day, if they're coming back to the gym the second day, that's impressive. That bag will have a toll on you, especially when you're doing it just fresh out the box. No one taught you how to throw that punch. No one taught you how to hold your breath. No one taught you how to breathe out after that hard shot. So yeah, that's a big deal. When they come in and they meet me, I say we're going to take it very slow. First of all, are you lefty or righty? That has a big impact on the way that they stand and the way that they hold their body in place. I had an issue a while ago where I was only standing lefty. I'm a lefty, so I was only standing in my lefty stance southpaw. Over time, just doing that, I had like uneven shoulders and everything. My alignment was geared towards standing in that right stance. I mean, in that lefty stance. So one of my hips was higher than the other. One of my shoulders was lower than the other because it's just naturally how that was when I'm guarding myself, training, sparring, whatever. Eventually, I switched stances and I started working on my weaker side, and everything started to even out. But my point is, like, if you don't have that foundation that like, this is definitely what's going on, this is the technique that you just need to change it up a little bit, you're not going to notice, and it's going to keep on degressing.
Worse
Yeah.
and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize that, where sometimes you can go into a workout feeling great and then it gets worse,
Mm-hmm.
and that that's an injury. If you go into a workout a little achy and it gets better during the workout, that's not as much of an injury as it is just getting the blood flow going, getting warmed up,
Yeah.
a little bit sore, you're fine.
Yeah.
And that's really big, and something that I try to work on with people is understanding their bodies
Yeah.
and getting used to the idea of it's okay to take it a little slower today, and that will discourage a lot of people, is the fact that they do have to take it slower.
Yeah.
The interest wanes sometimes when they're told, hey, we might not hit the bag today. Maybe we're doing wrist strengthening or hand
Yeah.
strengthening, and I don't know as much about that. But if you're going to say, let's say, one one tip to minimize that likeliness,
Hmm.
where anybody who's watching, whether that be 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, what is that one tip that you want that boxer to know before they go in and hit the bag? Someone who you don't know if they're going to have a trainer or not.
Yeah.
This is going to stop some injuries from occurring. That
Yeah,
one tip.
it's just take it slow. Be confident in the process. I mean, a lot of it is just patience. You gotta be able to understand that, first of all, pain is progress, but there's a type of pain that isn't, and you have to kind of learn from your own body, from your own experiences. You have to know what a sore is versus what an ache or a pain or an injury, like you said before. But that's really the only way to know how what's your limit and what is past your limit.
Well, and I think that leads into the idea of people don't realize when a coach goes onto the field. I'm trained in strength and conditioning
Mm.
for athletes, and that could be a boxer, where I would coordinate with a boxing coach like you, and then do lifting that is associated with that, and training to work out imbalances like
Yeah,
something that you may have had, which we can go a little more into that. I mean, I know you snowboard and you do other exercise that possibly can
yeah, for
can
sure.
work against that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when you go onto that field, you ask the athlete, "Are you hurt or injured?"
Hmm.
Basically, you're saying an injury that's going to be taking you out for a while.
Yeah.
Hurt, let's get some ice on it, and then let's get some heat on it,
Yeah.
and let's see how you feel tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because hurt takes you out of the game, injury takes you off the field for a while,
Yeah.
out of the ring for a while. So now you're getting into nursing,
Yeah.
and just to go a little more into you, for those medical students out there, and I'm going to be asking this. I've got a lot of medical people that we're getting on,
Hmm.
so we're working with a lot of martial artists as well as a lot of medical people and people who cross over into both.
Hmm.
So like you, boxer, going into nursing. So, what is your tip for either current nursing students or people who are getting ready to go into college, go into the nursing program
Yeah.
at different ages? Let's say someone in high school who knows they want to be a nurse already and they're set on it. Like
Yeah.
that's the path they're taking. Or someone in college who's like, I want to be a nurse. What do I do here? And then someone in nursing school who's struggling and they're like, I want to be a nurse, but I need some sort of tips to get through this.
Yeah.
Let's start at each of those three phases and kind of work through that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for the guy who is, as someone who has failed many times, has seen that F on a grade, has seen that GPA start to tank, you're gonna fail. Everyone's gonna fail, and I know it's everyone says that that's cool and it's whatever and it's no big deal, but when you're in the moment and you failed that grade and you know that you have to tell your parents that, oh, I just got a D in chemistry, specifically orgo, that's a big problem, and it's a terrible feeling in the moment, but it's a moment. It's just a moment.
I worked very hard for my C minus in orgo.
That's
Organic chemistry, if you
I
guys
don't know
haven't
how
taken
anyone can
any,
get
if you
better.
haven't taken the courses, organic
It's
chemistry.
crazy. It is so hard. And for those students, I mean, it's gonna get hard. And if it's not hard, then you're definitely in the wrong field. Something you have to challenge yourself in order to find something that you love. That's been my experience so far.
Or you're a savant in your field, and then you
Right.
should stay in the field,
Yeah, like I know
because
your brother is just like a genius.
my
My
brother is a
cousin is the
genius.
same way. Well, not in the same way, but I
My,
mean, your brother is like wildly intelligent.
my brother has like an IQ of 150 something, and God bless him, he's doing amazing things for the world.
Yeah.
And the things he's able to do will allow all of us to work at our capability that much better. The research going on, he works for the CDC currently, which is in a completely different field. He's working on women's health and doing all these research over in Saipan. Crazy, man. But the people on the ground floor right here ultimately are implementing the things. We might not be using exactly him,
Mm.
but people like him at that intelligence level, they do the studies that we use to go, okay, well, this is what happens in hand injuries in boxers. This is how the physical therapist is going to handle those hand injuries. This is how the medical team, which should ultimately include trainers, and I've been trying to do
Oh, for
that
sure.
more often,
Yeah.
where I reach out to the doctors, the physical therapists, the chiropractors, even, and all through that realm, and form a healthcare team. And I've had people coming out of knee surgery. Sometimes it's, one or two calls,
Yeah.
because the person doesn't need a million calls. You get some of the contraindications,
Sure.
then maybe follow up, and you're done. You don't need this long-winded relationship.
Yeah.
It's nice to have those, because then you can get repeat clients, hopefully not back and forth,
Yeah.
but
Definitely.
repeat clients where the physical therapist will keep sending you new clients. And ultimately, my goal is to get my clients working out so well they need me less. I
Yeah.
want to be there. I want to be able to reassess them every so often, but you know, I'm not. My goal isn't to work in class format like this
Mm.
right now. Right now, I'm working in a way where I want to be able to get someone to go to Blink Fitness, Planet Fitness, work out on their own, or come into here, be healthy enough to come into here, work with a boxing coach,
Yeah.
and then once a month, because I
Yeah.
have like a 9 point assessment on the joints of the body. And if anything's gotten out of whack, kind of like your shoulders, your hips,
Yeah.
I'd be looking at that. I'd give them some programming moves to do, and then send them on their way, because I'm not taking so much from them that they can't go out and do this. I want to get people into their lives that they can enjoy, because ultimately I just do training, and the stuff that you do, the boxing, the work on the end, is
Mm.
so important.
Yeah.
Just like how your nursing is so important to get people back into the things they love, getting into the ring and into a place of happiness and enjoyment, bringing back those hormones.
Yeah. For sure.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, you're super knowledgeable in that state. Like there are people who unfortunately they can't afford their health care. So when it comes to physical therapy after some kind of an ailment, like let's say they got that knee injury, and now they have to do PT in order to stand up again, or to walk, or to run. They might never be able to run unless they find an outlet from that PT that they can't afford. So that's where someone like you comes into play. A lot of people don't have the knowledge base that you have, from my experience so far. I mean, I've only been within this gym, so I've only seen the trainers that have come into this gym, and our focus is really just moving. It's not really on, here are the muscles that you're working on today. It's not, here's the progression. It's, you pay once a month, you come in as many times as you want. It's on you. I like that your style is kind of more like, this is your trend. Like, you started here. Look at the progression. Your shoulders were uneven on day one. On day two, they're completely solid. And I feel like that's important for those people who can't afford the proper care that they need to be able to to get.
and then again, I like to start people off in a certain place, and then when we get to a point where it's once a month or something like that, we can be part of that team,
Yeah.
where I talk with you,
Mm-hmm.
someone who's on the end of the enjoyment factor, where you're training them properly in this area. Boxing is a lot of an art,
Mm-hmm.
it's a martial art. People don't think of wrestling and boxing as martial arts because it's not karate, it's not kung fu,
Yeah.
but it's a martial art. So as an art, it takes a experienced person who understands what's going on to just feel it out. What does this person need today? What does that person need today? And then you've got wonderful equipment here where you're able to measure how hard someone's punching.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have the capability to see some of the heart rate and
Yeah.
and really get the data.
Yeah. We use that
But
all the time. Yeah.
but again, it's still part of the art. You're not necessarily throwing 100 punches, 105 punches,
Yeah,
110
no,
punches.
that's a great point. Like, when so we have a system where we have this. It almost looks like a hockey puck, and it's a sensor that goes into the aqua bag. It's called the aqua bag, I think, at gym app that connects to it, and you,
Speaking of,
yeah,
don't mind my interruption. The Aqua Bag, awesome, awesome product. It's something that your father developed. I
yeah,
want to get a little bit more into that after the fact,
yeah, for sure.
because if you guys want to purchase the Aqua Bag, I can include a link at the end and in the description. This
Mhm.
is something that a lot of people are using now.
Yeah.
Let's get back into that hockey puck, though. I don't want
Yeah.
I don't want to miss out on how hockey relates to boxing because I was planning on talking to someone else about hockey, and I
Yeah.
think you know who. So, how does this hockey peg?
Yeah, I mean it's a sensor. That's basically what it is. It's just a computer system that has the sensor attached to it that goes all the way down into the bag, so that when you hit that bag full of water, almost I guess the ripple effect coming from the surface where you hit it ricochets through the bag, hits that sensor, and kind of measures how hard you hit. Don't ask me the specifics about that. I have no
I'll
idea.
talk to your dad at some point.
Hydrophysics or something. I'm just making up that term. I don't know if that's real.
Probably something about fluid mechanics. It's
Fluid
smarter people.
mechanics.
It's
That's
people
it.
like my brother bringing that
Yeah,
back around.
exactly.
Let's. I guarantee you, if we brought him in here, he would just yell at us for being stupid. But
You know what? I welcome that. That's all right.
oh yeah,
Again,
no,
failure. We
it's
all
the
fail.
it's the only
It's
way.
okay.
I've had clients come to me with actual things where they look up the studies. I tell people at the beginning a couple things. In the first session, I tell them, here's all the things you would need right now. It's the three basic planes of motion. It's something I call the 3-2-1 rule.
Mhm.
Those two things you can go out and work out on your own. Almost likeliness to never get hurt.
Yeah.
And then I say, but it's easier with me because I get to plan out your stuff. You can always, look up different punches on YouTube and then practice them out, but it's nicer to have the coach there to think for you.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I've had clients come to me because I've told them to go out and do the research and to understand on their own. And it becomes a dialogue where they don't leave me, which is nice because they like doing the 2 week, 3 week, but they come in with the studies and they say, hey, I think this move will be better for me because when I did it without you,
Yeah.
it felt better.
And that's really important.
And I'm like, this, I don't care that the move I showed you is supposed to do something. If we can get you to have the proper mechanics for another move that you bring up and you show me, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
good. Let's get the proper mechanics, and I'll watch you as an outside observer because it gets frustrating to constantly videotape yourself, and having me there just makes it a little bit easier.
Mhm.
So, and that's something that you can do with your punches and everything with the aqua bag it's a wrist monitor that does both
Yeah, so
the
that's new. So
yeah.
we are in conjunction with other labels that make those wrist monitors. I think we're going around like two or three different brands that make this thing. And basically, what it does is it measures your heart rate so that we can monitor that and how hard you're working out. Not how we're still looking at how hard you punch and how many punches you hit throughout the session that we're here, whether it be like 30 minutes, 45, or an hour. But it also shows your heart rate percent average. So are you working really hard? We can tell. Are you just chilling on the bag and just tapping it like we're not asking you to do? We can tell. And we have another system where that all hooks on to big monitor that we have here at the gym and call that the box fit experience, gym experience.
And that's the type of thing I love.
And that, yeah, and that everyone gets their own tile. They can all look at their stats real time. The trainer can do the same thing, so they can say station 1 you got to pick it up, or station 7 like you're doing great, everyone keep it up, you're on the leaderboard right now.
How valuable do you, and I know my own beliefs on heart rate training, but I don't want to influence your statement. How valuable do you think that system has been to fitness? To I know you train some kid boxers
Mm-hmm.
who are actually competing.
Yeah,
If I'm correct, we
yeah,
talked
yeah.
about that the other week. How much has that improved the fitness of the general person, like the weekend warrior,
Mm-hmm.
and then the athletes that you do have in here? How much has that actually like impacted the way they feel about their training, and then
Yeah,
also the objective markers of, hey, is actually punching harder,
yeah.
and you think it's because of that. So I want to know if that has made a difference in your
Yeah,
training.
I mean, so first and foremost, like everyone looks at it as a game. So how hard can I hit, or how many punches can I do in a minute, or like how high can I keep my heart rate for a while? And that's totally fine. If you want to look at it as a game, that is completely all right, as long as you hit the mark that I want you to hit as a trainer to see that you're progressing throughout. Then let's play. That's all right. So we have the general guy who comes in and it's his first time using it, and he's looking at the monitor and he's looking at his arm. He's trying to figure out how's it working. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Are you working out? I can tell. Bill can tell. He's another trainer that we have here at the gym. But like we use that constantly, regularly. But at the same time, like there are ways that, let's say you don't have that equipment, that high tech equipment. There are ways that you can tell if someone's working hard enough, and a lot of that is physical body language, which they teach a lot in the certification programs that I did, but even more so in nursing. We can tell the pain scale just on the way that you're reacting to something. So if you're punching really hard, and let's say you are just straight faced and just blanking out and just kind of like in a daze, you're not doing
Oh,
anything.
you're just
Exactly.
relaxing, like however you
Exactly.
get through
If
your
you're that
day.
guy who's like grimacing and like, oh yeah, breathing hard, the chest is moving, you're using those accessory muscles to breathe, you're definitely getting a workout in. And if you're that guy who winces every time you make that contact, you have a problem. So even though we have all this technology, there are ways to tell if you're hurting yourself, if
Some
you're doing
people are
better.
tough, though.
Some people are tough. Some people are great floppers, and they will just fake it like crazy. But that's where the technology comes in, because now you can tell your heart rate is not where it needs to be, even though you're showing me to your face and by your body language that you are working hard. No, you're not. So you can definitely tell
100%.
with that. And with our boxers that are training now, we use that power grid a lot. So we have kids who have finessed moving around the ring, or like watching and waiting for that punch to come, being able to slip, being able to move. Can they land the punch? They can land it, but they don't have the power or the force behind it. So that's where we can move on to working back on the bag. Even though pad work and mitt work and sparring sessions are super important, and probably,
We have to spar.
yeah, we definitely
We'll
have to
do
do
it.
that. I've been practicing,
I
so.
know I'm gonna get my butt kicked. Last time I got into the ring was so long ago, but
Yeah.
that'll be fun. I want to get my butt kicked. I'm
Oh,
always
that'll
I'm always
definitely be
down.
fun, and it'll be in this ring that we're in here. This isn't a regular size ring. This is a little bit smaller, but
Well, you
yeah,
gotta fit stuff in the spaces where you can. And the jiu-jitsu
yeah,
place I go at's got like a mini octagon, so it's basically the gym sized, And then you go out onto the wrestling room in the high school isn't
for
the
sure.
same size as the thing. So that's when you really get to feel the space.
Yeah,
And like once you're out there under the lights and you're feeling that performance, it's just such a different
yeah,
level.
yeah.
And I think that that's actually an important part of the performance perspective is that different environment. You get comfortable in here.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to perform in here. Once you get under pressure, man,
Yeah,
that's totally different.
yeah. I mean, our kids look great here. Everyone looks up to them. Even the kids in the kids class, they look at these kids and they say, "Wow, I want to be them one day." And then we have this kid who has just not won a fight. And that has nothing to do with his skill level. It's just you're taking him out of his comfort zone, which, I mean, he's a kid. So he's going to have to learn that that's going to happen for the rest of his life. And he's going to have to deal with it. And there, honestly, if you have a comfort zone, you should break that. Try to break it. You shouldn't be in your comfort zone. This way, everything is your comfort zone.
Well, again, it comes back to that whole idea of failure and being okay with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, some of the strongest people are some of the people who failed the most early on, and that's okay.
Yeah,
That is very okay.
yeah,
And the people who struggle the most are, if not the most successful, the people who are able to handle their failures better. And that's good because you can develop a happiness that's not directly surrounded with success. Because if your happiness is defined by your success, if these kids that are super good performers under pressure in boxing and they have all nothing but success in the boxing ring,
yeah,
great. If they're going to become a pro, great. But that's the type of pro that'll be dominant
yeah,
until they lose,
yeah,
and then they're just done.
yeah,
Or even in life, someone's dominant, they become golden gloves, whatever, and then in life they hit that F class, that Orgo, D
that's right.
or whatever, and it spirals them out of college.
Yeah,
And not that everybody needs college. That involves a lot of pivoting.
yeah,
So you guys had a different location.
yeah.
That space allowed different training. Have you seen more success in certain areas and less success in others? How has that changed the the format of what you do and the type of person that comes in?
Yeah, I mean, when we moved here, we kind of rebranded ourselves into a clean gym. Our old gym was what the whole environment of that old gym was based around that gym that you'll see in those Rocky movies, that grungy, that kind of very like you're coming in to work out and work out only, and you're here to sweat, and everybody's gonna sweat. It's gonna get on the wall. It's all over the floor. Everything's gross. Not really, because we clean everything, but
That's
it
the
looks bad.
idea.
Yeah. So we went from that state, which everybody loved. Everyone likes to go into a boxing gym thinking that they're a fighter, right? So everyone loves to do that. We've rebranded ourselves into this new gym. It's a lot more slick. There's more clean lines. There's paint colors now. Before it was just a warehouse.
I was mentioning the paint and how I liked it. I always loved the red, white, and blue,
Yeah,
and it again, it's set up like that sort of boxing gym. So you come in here and you feel like a fighter,
yeah,
and you've got the ring in the corner. But it's the same in Sarah, the place I go for jujitsu.
mm-hmm.
It's crisp. The paint job is good. The setup of the ring, it's an octagon over there, but setup of the ring is nice. You've
Yeah,
got the ring side, you've got the logo that you can't see over here. So setting up a gym is super important. And as you see the gym setup like this, has it more pushed you towards a weekend warrior crowd, or has that allowed more athletes to come in due to better equipment, better setup, better areas, and better technology specifically?
yeah.
Because I use the MyZone. I try. That's a very good company. I'm not paid to plug any of the things that I do say in these podcasts. Like I preach what I believe in and what I love.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe MyZone's not right for here because you got specific boxing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I would recommend any person use MyZone if you're a walk, jog, runner. Super good.
Yeah.
But has that changed now that you're using the technology? Is that glamour pulling in a different clientele?
I wouldn't say different. I think it's just more. Like there are more people attracted to this. We're also in a spot where it's more foot traffic and a lot more like everyone passes the gym, so they see boxing, and one day they'll if they see it 6 7 times in a row, they'll start to thinking, well, my son likes to fight. Maybe we'll bring him into the gym. And then they do, and then they see the inside, and instead of seeing that grungy place, let's say you're just a mom trying to get her kid in shape. You don't want them to be in a gross looking environment. You want them to be in somewhere clean, and this is where that is. So bringing them in that aspect has worked. But in terms of keeping them here, I would say that that's more towards the trainer's job. So in terms of how often those clientele stay and build our rapport and build our clientele based on who they're familiar with is based on the trainers themselves. So we kind of build that brand for them. Like New York Fitness and Boxing is nothing without the people that run it. Otherwise, it's just a room with a bunch of weights. You can go to Planet Fitness, you can go to Blank, whatever.
100%.
So
And
I mean,
ultimately, a small gym gives a more intimate environment
mm-hmm.
where you can truly make a connection with those coaches. You don't have this turnover rate of every 6 months you've got a completely different coaching staff.
Yeah,
You've got people who are around, and I don't know for how long, right now, but I guarantee you're not having 3 month turnover rates. And I loved Blink was my first gym that I worked at.
mm-hmm.
Love them, wonderful people, management's great, clean gym. If you're looking for a personal trainer for a long time period, you're going to have to find that one guy who's been there forever and has found success there,
Yeah,
because it's tough to find success in that environment. And in an environment like this where you can really form those connections, that's important. And I'm interested in hearing that the person is still the draw to the industry,
yeah,
because so much now with the online classes, with technology, like the heart rate monitors, the heart rate monitor I support, MyZone, their selling point is, an increased retention rate for the gym, a increased client attendance, not just retention.
mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to hear that it's still more about the coaching staff itself,
Yeah,
and I'm happy to hear that. So with boxing and performance, because we're heading into the end here, you said looking to prevent injury. Are you ready for the work you're planning to do? So take it slow.
yeah,
Are you ready? Get a coach, or be very very careful
yeah,
with your technique.
yeah,
So get the coach. Switch your stances.
yeah. Well, after getting the first one down.
Yes,
Don't just walk into a gym thinking you're gonna go lefty, righty. This is the way I feel today. I'm gonna feel like a righty tomorrow. No, it doesn't work like that. You gotta pick one, get good at it, and then play, but
Okay.
you have that one stance that you're always going to go home to.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you pointed that out because those were my 3 tips, which is take it slow, technique, switch stances would be like 2 plus.
Yeah.
And maybe the third one is some pain isn't good because you discussed that.
Yeah.
So we'll do 1, 2, 2 plus, and 3.
All right.
That's how we'll organize it. And then for school,
Yeah. So for
you have to
school,
be
yeah,
accepting the F's and the
they're
failures.
going to happen in one way or another. Let's say it's not grade wise. Let's just say you joined a sport and you failed as a team. Let's say you lost. That counts. That's a failure. Some people that hits hard. Some people they just can't make friends. That's a failure, but you're going to learn from it. You're going to learn from all these mistakes that you do. I mean, I from someone who has another college degree, I'm back in college because I know what it's like to fail, and now I know what it's like to succeed.
Well, again,
Yeah,
that's moral and character building,
yeah, for
and
sure.
it will eventually breed success. And that success is success that it means to you,
Hmm.
which is happiness. Well, not happiness. Happiness is fleeting. Meaning,
Yeah,
finding that meaning that drives you in life. Is there anything else you want to discuss?
I feel like we covered a lot of topics.
Yeah.
It was a great conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm super happy to have had you on and me to have the blessing to come in here. Maybe
oh,
I'll
for
take
sure.
a class
Yeah,
at some point. I'd love to now that I've seen what you guys do.
yeah, you're more than
Where can
welcome.
people find you for lessons, training, or advice?
Yeah, you can find me on my Instagram page. I believe it's Brandon R Box Fit. That's on Instagram, and then you can just find me at the gym as well. New York Fitness and Boxing, 1976 Jericho Turnpike.
And do you guys have a phone number that you'd like
We
to?
do. Everything's online, so if you just look up our name, you'll find all the information that you need.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you very much, Brandon.
But I was kind of out to my coach. I mean, his personality wasn't really that likable, and a lot of people on the team didn't like him. I mean, part of me was convinced like just hang it up right there, but there were there were some upperclassmen who convinced me otherwise.
So, the secret is having good people around you,
Yes,
or
secrets having like a good teammate, having a good team. Then their secret's also having a passionate coach, and we'll talk about that later because that coach wasn't there the next year.